writing a book or a story, do you start with a plot and then progress to theme, or sometimes you have a theme that you just really want to write a story about, and then you write a story about the theme?
I always start somewhere. And it could be a plot, and it could be a theme, and it could be a character, and sometimes it's just an image. In the case of the story I just read, that was one moment I didn't have a plot in my head, and suddenly I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if? And there was a whole story there. Sometimes you begin with a wouldn't it be interesting if. The story that won the Hugo Award last year as Best Short Story. It began, as most of my stories actually do, with a desperate begging phone call from an editor. In this case, a friend named Michael Reeves, who said, I'm doing a short story collection based on the idea of Sherlock Holmes meets H.P. Lovecraft. It's Holmes meets Lovecraft. Can you do a Holmes meets Lovecraft story? And I put down the phone and thought, that's stupid, that is, because the whole of the engine that drives H.P. Lovecraft stories is that of mystery, and the idea that there are things you're not meant to know, and the idea of the unknowable, and the engine that drives Holmes is the idea that everything is knowable, everything is, you can rationally understand everything. And then I thought, in order to make a story interesting with Holmes and Lovecraft in, you'd need to set it in a world in which everything was Lovecraftian. One in which perhaps the great old ones had risen from the sea and invaded about 700 years ago, and then you could have a London where I could do something like the first Sherlock Holmes story, A Study in Scarlet, only I'd do it with him investigating some kind of third-generation Lovecraftian beastie, and I'd call it A Study in Emerald. Okay. And at that point, I had a story. And then I got to do some other things with identity and some other things along the way. But really, it was just that point. I had an engine. I had a way into the story. And I had this idea of this sort of horrible room, which was covered in green goo. And this guy had been eviscerated and had bled green ichor everywhere, or oozed probably not bled green ichor, just oozed. So it can be anything. It's something that you start a story with, and it changes from story to story to story. There's never, I'm not very good at following rules. As long as I have a way into a story, I'm happy.